friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here today to talk about the importance of having good, clean, non-fluoridated water. So that's going to be my main focus today, is getting away from the fluoride, not just in the water but in other forms as well. But I'll get to that in a bit. But first, let's talk about your water source in general. So a lot of you that are following me are already looking at or already have some backup means for a water source. And for us, we collect and filter our own rainwater. And this is a very doable way, especially if you live in a place like Rain Country where we get 120 inches of rain annually. So at any rate, that is one way. Obviously, if you already have some running water or a good well on your property, then you're set up that way for backup water. Now, not everybody has this option, and I understand. That's just as far as preparing goes. That I wanted to bring that up. It's always good to think of some backup water supply. Obviously, we can stock up on water, but it also is good to know where are some other sources you can get water in the case of a grid down situation where maybe the city tap water is not going to be available. Even if it's as simple as them just shutting off the water to fix a main break, it's always good to have a backup water supply. We do already have a video out on our rainwater collection setup, so I'm not going to go into all the details about that here, but I will link to that video down below. I will be talking about water filtration a little bit. There's several different ways that you can filter your water, and this might be necessary even if you know that you have a pretty clean well water and so on, because everywhere we're looking, especially now, our water is being contaminated in different ways, whether it be it's coming straight from the sky, you're collecting it from a creek, or even getting it from a well. I think a really deep well water might be your cleanest, but even then you could still be looking at contaminants that are coming from the air. We have a lot of contaminants in our air these days, and it's really important that we avoid it. Now, if you have city tap water and your city still fluoridates, then it's very important you either find a different way to get your water source, like what we did, because we do have city tap water. Thankfully, they finally, after over 50 years, stopped fluoridating here, but you still have chlorine. At least chlorine is far easier to remove from the water than fluoride. So anyway, if you do have city water, even if you don't have a backup source, then I still highly recommend you get some kind of good filter to filter the water before you drink it, because there's still chemicals in that water. And just so you know, Patrick worked in water treatment for a good number of years. So he was a water operator 3, and he knows a lot about treating water and what goes into it. And just so you know, there was a time when he was working in the Seattle area treating water where he got overexposed to a certain chemical used in water treatment that caused him to have to deal with a double ear infection for months before we were finally able to get it cleared up using just plain old extra virgin coconut oil in that case, but after trying everything else. So that's another side issue, but just so you know, I mean, there's all kinds of junk that goes into that city water to clean it. And by the way, fluoride is not necessary for water treatment. It's simply added to it. Now, I have various different speculations as to why they do it. They claim it's to help with teeth, especially in underprivileged areas, and I'm going to talk a little bit why that's complete bunk. We have several different ways of treating the water. So we have a reverse osmosis, which we've used on occasion, though it's probably the best method to remove all contaminants besides distillation. It's a little bit more of a hassle. And then you also have UV treatment, so you can treat water with UV rays. I don't know why more water treatment facilities don't go this route. It seems like it would be far more cost effective, plus would not require all these chemicals going into the water. And then of course we have our setup, and we don't have the big fancy stainless steel Berkey, because back when we set up our system, we didn't have the money to run out and to spend on a whole setup like that with the stainless steel. It's nice and all, but we did the cheap, easy thing, and that was just to get a couple of 5-gallon buckets. Patrick drilled a hole in the bottom of one. That one sits on the top, and that's where the filter is, and that drains through the filter into the bottom bucket. So And we've always used the Berkey filter and have been very happy with it. Now, the original filter that we still have a bunch of, because I was stocking up on a bunch of them, was the white ceramic filter, or it's kind of more of a beige color. I don't think Berkey is making those anymore because they've switched over to the charcoal filters. And thankfully, to a lot of my followers who have shared their experience in using the charcoal filters, they say that they last a lot longer than the original ceramic ones. And the charcoal ones are just better overall at taking out more contaminants in the water. However, it is also important to understand that the charcoal filter alone, if you're trying to use that with your city tap water, is not going to take the fluoride out. It might take out some, but you're still going to need to add the fluoride filter to that. And even that doesn't take out 100%, but it does take out 97% of your fluoride. So right here, I did finally break down and get myself a 2-pack of the charcoal filters from Berkey. Even though I still have a bunch of ceramic ones, I did want to go ahead and get a couple of these because I always like to stay ahead on our filters anyway. So I figured I'll try one now so I can see if I can notice any kind of difference in the longevity of the filter itself, and if I notice any difference in taste in the water, though our water tastes really good. In fact, we've been doing the water filtration for many years, and our son's friends would come over and just love to just drink the water that we filtered ourselves because they said it tasted so much better than the tap water. So anyway, I have one installed in the bucket out there right now. I just put it in there yesterday, and then this is the second one. One thing I found with the Berkey filters, I'll go ahead and link to this set below, but it doesn't matter if you buy 1, 2, or 4 pack, the price is going to per filter is still the same, and it is not cheap. But I've been using the same ceramic filter for at least 2 years. So if that can last that long, and it still works great. I just went ahead and switched it out because I want to see the difference in this. But I think I could probably stretch it out for at least another year. So for the price you're paying to have good, clean water, it's really not that bad. So you're looking at, I think I paid about $77 per filter. So it was $154 for a pack of 2. But if you're doing the city tap water, then you need to also get the fluoride filter. I don't remember how much those are, but I'll link to them down below. But here's one of the really important things I want you to understand before you go shopping around for filters, because when I initially was looking at the Berkey black filter, I had seen some others pop up that looked very much the same and had pretty good reviews, and they were almost half the cost. And I was thinking, well, gosh, if these are getting good reviews, maybe I should find out where they're made. On one of the companies, I had to contact them directly. I had to email them. It took a while for them to get back to me, but sure enough, I found out they were made 100% in China, where the Berkey filters are now made in the US. They started out in the UK. I'm not sure if they're still making them in the UK, but I know Berkey is making them here in the US. So though we all try to avoid Chinese made products as much as we can, it's impossible to avoid them altogether. Like my Caries back here, I found out after I got it in, is made in China, but I do love it. It's a great dehydrator. And even though I don't like supporting overseas companies, it's almost impossible not to, at least in some form. But when it comes to treating my own water, I'm sorry, but I do not trust whatever it is they're making to clean our water. With that in mind, watch out for the copycat filters. And if you're unsure, then I would email each individual company that you're looking at, and you'll probably find out they're all made in the same place. They just have different names stamped on them. That's usually the way that is. I would pretty much guarantee if you're seeing a black filter that looks very much like the Berkey and it's almost half the cost, it's made in China. I would just assume that, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't at least do a little more research to see if you can find a way to save money and read the reviews as well. Now let's get on to the fluoride issue, because I had somebody recently come in and say, oh, okay, you're one of those crazy fluoride ladies, which actually made me chuckle. And it's like, yeah, I'm crazy because I actually took the time to look into the science instead of just believing whatever some talking head told me. And let me tell you, some of the best information I got on the detriment of fluoride to the human body was from the NIH, which is a .gov website, in case you don't understand that, National Institute of Health. They have a great article in there. It's very thorough. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just because certain places are .gov websites does not mean they don't have good information. The problem is people don't look thoroughly enough into them. So I'm going to be linking to that article as well as one from the International Academy of Oral Medicine and Toxicology that talks about the detriments of fluoride, specifically in ingesting it. Ingesting fluoride has never been good at helping the teeth. The only way it's good at helping to promote stronger teeth and prevent dental caries is by external application, not ingesting it. And even then, I would be concerned. And that's only in children, not for adults. It doesn't do anything for adults to have any kind of fluoride internally or put on as a external type treatment on the teeth. It's not going to do anything for you. So let me go on. So let me read some of these things. I took notes on just a few things. This is just a few of the health problems this can cause. So first off is dental and skeletal fluorosis. So one of the very things that you think it's supposed to prevent, making your teeth and bones stronger, actually does the opposite. So that means it's going to make your bones brittle. A lot of people think fluorosis is just about that weird mottled coloring of the teeth that is more just a cosmetic issue. No, if you're seeing mottled teeth due to fluoridation, it's causing more harm than what you think, than what you can see. Dental and skeletal fluorosis is going to cause all kinds of other bone-related issues. Joint pain, back pain, the list goes on and on. So another one that's at the top of the list that a lot of other things will fall under that I'll probably still end up listing off is cognitive impairment. And that includes fetal brain damage. So if a pregnant woman is ingesting fluoridated water on a consistent basis, this can actually cause damage to her child's brain. And it can even cause malnutrition. But here's something even more interesting, is that a lot of the argument for fluoridating city water is so that those in underprivileged areas can get the fluoride and have stronger teeth. Well, here's the interesting thing, is underprivileged children are the ones that are most likely to be malnourished. And if they're already malnourished, meaning they're not getting the calcium and magnesium they need, the fluoride will actually increase the amount of cavities that they're going to get, or dental caries. And so actually fluoridating water in underprivileged areas is worse. And so if we truly cared about the underprivileged people, we should not be fluoridating their water. And then several forms of cancer have also been linked to fluoridation. It also can cause high blood pressure and hypothyroidism, which is why that was the number one thing we did to be able to get ourselves off the thyroid medication and heal our thyroid, was to get away from consuming any of the city tap water, because back then they were still fluoridating. Even though I wrote them many emails, sent them many scientific studies of the proof of how bad it was, they ignored it. Their excuse was, oh, we've been doing it for 50 years. And it's like, so? It doesn't mean it's right. And if you're new and you're interested in more about how we got ourselves off the thyroid medication, I'll link to the 2 different videos I've done on the thyroid. One was with me and Patrick. It's almost 4 years ago now that we did that one. And the other one I did this past year, which added a little more information. Plus, I also talked a little bit about hyperthyroidism and Hashimoto's. So some other things is it can cause seizures, diabetes, insomnia, low fertility rates, myocardial damage, and heart failure. And that's, again, just to name a few. There are actually quite a few heart-related conditions that I came across which were caused by fluoridation of the water. Fluorine is a natural substance in nature, but just because something is natural doesn't mean it's healthy for you. And especially getting it in the amounts that we're typically seeing on a regular basis in places that fluoridate their water. That is far too much. And if you read your city water report, which you should be getting every year, if you actually take time to read it, ours, at least at one time, used to admit that it was waste runoff that they were putting in the city water to get that fluoride. I mean, come on. They're just dumping waste product into your water is what they're doing. The last city report I noticed, the last couple, they actually took that little bit off of there, changed the wording a little bit, and then made sure to point out that, but it's good for the teeth when it's not. Studies have shown this. So another study that, if I can find it, I'll try to link to down below, was from several years back, was at the Harvard University, and several studies pulled together showed that fluoridation caused brain damage in children, including ADHD, low IQ, and more. So if we really care about our children, fluoridation should be avoided. And again, find ways to clean that water, because even though a $77 filter may sound like a lot of money, if my old one can last for a couple years at least, I know this one can last a lot longer, and it's definitely a worthwhile investment in my personal opinion. And it's cheaper than dental insurance. That's not going to keep you from getting dental caries if you're still using fluoridated toothpaste and fluoridated water. So read those toothpaste labels. If you're buying toothpaste that has fluoride in it, notice it says can be fatal if swallowed. That's why you're never supposed to swallow toothpaste. It's because of the fluoride content. That's why you should be making your own toothpaste, or just using something different entirely. You don't have to buy an expensive toothpaste that doesn't have fluoride in it. You can actually brush with something as simple as organic coconut oil, and you'll be surprised at what it will do for your teeth. I found coconut oil to be the most effective at removing tartar buildup on the teeth. But I'll link down below to my tooth powder recipe, but I do mix it up. I like to use sometimes just coconut oil, sometimes just the tooth powder, and a lot of times I will use both together, and very, very good for the teeth all the way around, and no concern about it being toxic if swallowed. So anyway, there's some food for thought for you, and at least take some time to skim through the articles I'll be linking to down below. The NIH one is quite long and in depth, but at least if you skim through it, you should be able to glean some pretty important information there, because it's funny how people want to call you crazy when you're the one actually doing looking up the science and doing the hard work in investigating all this stuff, rather than just trusting what some doctor that for some reason has become the voice of health all the way around. Just because of that, for that reason alone, I wouldn't trust them. Look into it for yourself and cross-compare all your information. As I always say, don't trust just the big pharma websites that are always trying to get you on medication, but don't only trust the natural sources either, because sometimes they get their information wrong, or they're parroting information from other sources that may have got it wrong, or just trying to get clicks, because that's how they make their money. So compare all the information against the different actual scientific data that's out there. And also, even if you already know that and feel confident about what you know, it's still good to have good resources and information that you can link people to that are going to call you crazy for being anti-fluoridated water. That's how we were finally able to get the city to stop fluoridating the water, is me and a few other people put together presentations for the city council, and one of the places I quoted from was this very article I'll be linking to down below. And because of that, we finally got our city water. Even though we had our own water supply we were drinking from, or rainwater, I still wanted to see this done, because we have family that is relying on the city tap water. And I care about the people in my community enough that I would like to see everybody not having to be forced to drink fluoridated water. So again, make sure you have some good sources that you can share with people. And there is a lot out there. There's actually groups of dentists that are taking a stand against all the water fluoridation. Dentists, they're the ones that are taught that you should be taking fluoride and ingesting it and all that. But those who actually did the research for themselves are the ones that realized how detrimental it is to the health. All right, well, don't forget to open up the description box by clicking on either show more right down here below my channel name in all caps, or if you're on a smart device, it'll be in the form of a little gray arrow right here on this corner. Just click on that. That way you'll find all the links and any other information, including contact information to us, so that you can do your own research there and then branch out. And if you're interested in more on how to do your own research, I will also link down below to the video I did on how to do your own research and how to be able to compare all the information and proper ways to do your word searches if you're on the internet. But also don't forget, having good hard copy books is very important. All right, well, I hope you found this helpful. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.